Stop thinking one factory. Think one planet-wide machine. China isn't a supplier, China is the system your supply chain breathes through. America can build plants fast, but it can't rebuild the invisible glue suppliers' skills and routines fast enough. Replacing China in 10 years sounds bold until you ask one brutal question. Where do the parts come from tomorrow morning? Because supply chains don't care about speeches. They care about delivery dates, defect rates, and whether the supplier answers at 2 a.m. China didn't take jobs. It built density, thousands of specialized shops close enough to fix problems before your coffee gets cold. You can relocate assembly, but the boring middle follows slowly. Chemicals, coatings, molds, fasteners, cables, packaging, testing. That boring middle is the trap. Without it, your shiny new factory becomes a museum, perfect building, nothing to build. One missing 12-cent connector can freeze a $12 million production line like someone hit a kill switch. China learned speed the hard way, iteration at scale. Prototype today, tool tomorrow, ship next week. Repeat until unbeatable. America can do excellence. But matching China's speed plus volume at global price points is like sprinting while rebuilding your legs. Because ecosystems are not factories. Ecosystems are relationships, supplier phone numbers, trusted shortcuts, and fixes learned from 10,000 failures. That's why just move it to Mexico or India is a half answer. You're moving a leaf, not the root system. Now hit the real wall, tooling. Molds, dies, jigs, without fast tooling you can't iterate and you can't compete. Tooling is time. Time is market share. If tooling takes 8 weeks instead of 8 days, your competitor wins by default. Then come chemicals, the silent villains. Solvents, resins, coatings, specialty gases. Regulated, hazardous, and painfully slow to expand. Build chemical capacity too fast and you get accidents. Build it too slow and you import forever. There's no cheat code. Next wall, minerals. Mining isn't the game. Processing is. The refinery decides who turns dirt into industrial power. Processing plants take capital, permits, community trust, and years of engineering. 10 years disappears fast when lawsuits add to. Batteries expose the whole puzzle. Lithium chemicals, cathodes, anodes, separators, electrolyte. Miss one link and the chain snaps. And it's not just having materials. It's having them on time, in tolerance, at volume, at price, every week, forever. Semiconductors? Same story. Fabs are headlines. Packaging, substrates, chemicals, and equipment servicing are the quiet battlefield. A fab is a cathedral, but it survives on a city of suppliers, filters, valves, gases, spare parts, and relentless maintenance. Now add logistics. China's ports aren't ports. They're throughput engines designed to make distance feel cheap. Factory-to-port choreography matters. If your truck waits 6 hours at a gate, your cost advantage evaporates in traffic. China built industrial parks like an operating system: power, water, roads, customs, suppliers, pre-wired for manufacturing velocity. America has infrastructure, but not always concentrated in manufacturing clusters. Distance between suppliers becomes your hidden tax. And then there's the workforce problem: real skills, not slogans. Setup, calibration, yield improvement, troubleshooting under pressure. You can train workers, but you can't instantly create the steady demand loop that turns training into mastery year after year. China's advantage is muscle memory, process discipline learned through volume. Millions of units become millions of lessons embedded in routines. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The US offshored not just production, but the habit of production. Habits return slowly. Now the money question. Rebuilding full ecosystems across sectors costs enormous capital, often with slow returns investors hate. Investors want quarters. Ecosystems want decades. That mismatch is why governments must subsidize resilience like national insurance. But subsidies don't print suppliers overnight. You still need vendor competition, dense demand, and years of boring, unglamorous repetition. And don't forget standards. Machines, parts, and processes lock into ecosystems. Switching vendors means requalifying everything, slow, expensive, risky. Requalification can kill a product launch. That's why companies diversify cautiously, one component at a time, like defusing a bomb. So replace China becomes reduce reliance. Even that takes a decade because you must build while still feeding today's demand. Do it too fast and prices spike. Do it too slow and vulnerability stays. That's the tightrope no politician wants to admit. The world wants cheap and resilient at the same time. But resilience is expensive until disaster makes it priceless. The pandemic showed it. A supply shock turns just in time into just too late, and everyone learns dependency the hard way. And sanctions revealed another truth. Restrictions can slow China, but they can also force substitution, innovation under pressure. Meanwhile, China's internal competition sharpens its ecosystem. Suppliers fight, optimize, upgrade because the cluster punishes anyone who falls behind. To match that, America needs manufacturing neighborhoods again, where suppliers can survive on constant orders, not one-time incentives. But neighborhoods need housing, transit, and community stability. You can't run factories when workers can't live nearby. So the decade problem isn't capability. It's sequencing. You must rebuild inputs, then components, then assembly, step by step, patiently. Inputs first means chemicals, refining, basic industrial materials. Boring, political, and absolutely essential because everything else sits on top. Components second means tooling, fasteners, PCBs, motors, sensors. The stuff nobody films, yet the stuff that decides who ships. Assembly last is the easy headline. But headlines don't feed factories. Ecosystems do. That's why the timeline stretches. And even if assembly relocates, components may still route through China, because intermediate layers remain faster, cheaper, and deeply optimized. So what would replacing China actually require? Multiple Chinas, several dense hubs across allies, each with its own boring middle. That's not impossible. It's just slow. Because ecosystems grow like cities, brick by brick, vendor by vendor, mistake by mistake. America can build the castle, but China owns the quarry, the bricks, the scaffolding, and the roads. And when you don't control the quarry, you pay in delays, price spikes, and strategic vulnerability, especially in crises. This isn't weakness, it's physics. Industrial gravity forms where density, speed, and reliability concentrate, and China concentrated them first. So the question becomes, can the US outlast the transition pain, higher prices, political fights, and years of patience? Because replacing China isn't a sprint. It's a marathon run while rebuilding your shoes without stopping the race you're already in. The smartest path is staged resilience. Secure critical inputs, scale components, modernize ports, train workforce, then expand capacity. That's why 10 years is tight. A single permitting delay can consume the time you thought you had. And while you rebuild, China doesn't freeze. It upgrades automation, quality control, and deeper control over intermediate materials. So no, America can't replace China in one decade. Not because it's incapable, but because ecosystems can't be copy-pasted. The real win isn't replacement. It's resilience. Building enough alternative capacity that no single hub can hold your economy hostage.